There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you? Welcome to Max Mike. I think I'm supposed to say that part. What difference does it make who says it? Well, you can't really give that kind of responsibility to a clone, now can you? I'm not a clone. You're the clone. Oh, sure. You're not a clone. You can think whatever you like, but it's not as if... Not as if what? You're a pompous dink who's obviously a pale replica of the real... Hey, who are you calling a replica, you diptard? Diptard? Listen, you lepton, there is no way that you're... Take that! Oh, ow! Oh, no, not the hair! Ow, my nose! Oh.
Will you both please knock it off? We have a show to do. Show some damn decorum. You're both leptons, okay? Does that make it better?
Sorry, sir. Grot.
I will totally turn this show around if you do not behave.
All right. Enough of that and more of Max Mike Movies. Oh, the fun. There's no clone here, of course. Just Max. Wait till your father gets home. Levine. And the one Mike... No more metaphors. Loose. And this week, as part of our I Can't Believe You Haven't Seen That, Part 3, the ReBelievening series, we're going to take a look at a movie Max hadn't seen. And that's 2009's Duncan Jones-directed sci-fi film, Moon. You know, I think we have one of those. It's in the sky. It's called The Moon.
I think it's called that, yeah.
But our next segment is called... Poll Question. Last week, our query was, what type of music would you like to see more represented in movies? We got only a few answers. 2, really. But we're all the more glad for them. Starting up where the blinding snow means that the mail only comes once a year, Vince, otherwise known as He Who Walks a Long Way to Get the Mail, wrote, quote, I think music in movies is more a case of finding the right style for each film, so I don't really think any style should be used unless it's appropriate for the film it's in, which leads me to wish that so many films, especially some animated ones, would not use popular music of the moment with no regard as to if it works or adds to the movie or not. If I hear that Move It song in another film, I will scream, end quote. And scream he will, I'm sure. Thanks, Vince.
No doubt.
Interestingly, we have the next answer seems to be kind of a 180 from there, and that comes from our mailbag. Hey, who are you calling a bag? We have our dear contributor, Bill O'Lading. He wrote, quote, I actually want to see more dissonance. This is a film technique where the music of one period, genre, mood, is played over a scene depicting a different period, mood, action, i.e., the contrast between audio and visual is greatly jarring. If done right, it elevates the entire package into something truly memorable. Examples include Kirsten Dunst pirouetting around in the opulent period dress of 1780s Versailles to the strange gloves I Want Candy in Marie Antoinette, 2006.
Huh.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I'd like to see that sequence. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. The U.S. Army soaring over the mouth of the Da Nang River in helicopters as the operatic notes of Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries plays out in Apocalypse Now, 1979.
Charlie don't surf, after all.
Apparently not. Don't forget the use of Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World during depictions of tensions across Saigon between the U.S. and Vietnamese in Good Morning Vietnam. Dissonance is also an effective way to convey sinisterness, such as Dr. Hannibal Lecter murdering multiple people during his asylum escape while the boxed, calm, and measured Goldberg Variations plays in The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. See our entire episode on Silence of the Lambs. How about when Uma Thurman's character Mia starts dancing to Girl You'll Be a Woman Soon by Urge Overkill, a groovy, cool song? She dances and dances and dances and then discovers John Travolta's bag of drugs on the coffee table. Still cool, still hip, she mistakes the bag of heroin for cocaine, horrifically overdoses, and begins to seize and die. The diegetic song continues playing throughout the scene and won't stop for anyone. The cool becomes horrific. Someone turn that off, you want to shout, but it won't. The scene absolutely depends on this excellent dissonance. I assume he means Pulp Fiction.
I'm pretty sure he does. That's an interesting one. The one I always think of in those cases is from Kick-Ass, where you have Hit Girl horrifically disposing of these drug dealers, all the while to this bubblegum version of the Banana Splits theme song. It is wild.
I know the version too.
It
I have
totally works.
Well, and of course, I think one of the major ones, which he's not done, but which he left out, is the is it "Singing in the Rain" in Clockwork Orange? No.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
That, I think, is probably the most dissonant one I know. Yeah. But he continues. The best example is, of course, the use of the whimsical "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," sung by hundreds of doomed convicts as they wither and die on their crosses outside Jerusalem in Monty Python's The Life of Brian, 1979. I defy you to watch this gruesome scene and not smile. Music can be many things, but we must not forget that it can be playful and used to jar, fool, and otherwise screw with the audience. Much obliged, Bill O'Lading. End quote. Boy, that Bill sure can write, can't he? So articulate.
He sure can.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bill. Love those answers.
Yep. What a fine Irish boy.
I'm sure he is. And that's kind of it, except for Max. Max, what music would you like to see more of in movies?
Well, I think it's obvious that the silent masses agree with me. Polka! There's just not enough polka movies out there, apart from Weird Al, the Weird Al story, Weird with Daniel Radcliffe, and one sequence in Good Morning Vietnam. There's just not enough polka out there. Play that polka for me, big boy.
But what do you really think?
Oh, okay. It didn't feel...
No.
Yeah. A movie I really enjoyed the music for, although I've never decided if I like the actual movie, is The Commitments. And I really like the soul music they do in there. Yeah. And I know a lot of movies use that as background. I see, the way I had meant the question, which I clearly didn't phrase properly, is movies that symbolize or incorporate a type of music that are, Saturday Night Fever is disco. That's what we think of. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see something about soul music. Mm-hmm. Maybe something more about blues music. Not about an individual artist, but the music itself.
Huh. I don't... Maybe people misinterpreted the question. I did. But that being said...
Again, that's my fault.
But we got some interesting answers anyway. I think that also the two that we got were kind of almost exactly opposite each other. Mm-hmm. Although I went back and rewatched it a few years ago and realized that I didn't like it as much as I thought I did, I really did like the juxtaposition of Shakespeare and rap music in The Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann.
Oh, okay.
And when Baz Luhrmann started Great Gatsby, I thought, you're going to do a hip-hop version of Great Gatsby? I'm interested. I don't even like hip hop, but that seems really, you're not going to do, you're just going, you're going to be dull. Okay. So yeah, I'm kind of on Bill's side of this one. I do like. That being said, is that your only answer besides soul?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Soul.
Or funk. Actually, I got really interested in some funk when I got a record player. Yes, I know. I'd actually
Vinyl Boy.
Yeah, it's bad. Hey, folks, here's a public service announcement. If you're thinking of getting it back into vinyl records, don't.
Just say, no, man.
Well, it's just it's a big, deep, dark hole, but there's so much nice sounds in here. I would actually like to see more singer-songwriter or single band soundtracks like Magnolia or The Graduate. I really like it because, of course, a director is supposed to be the visionary, male or female, doesn't matter which, of a certain film. I'm telling this story from my perspective. It's meant to be more or less a controlled version of this story as seen through the literal lens of this director. And I love it when you can bring in a single band or a singer-songwriter that can offer the same thing in the soundtrack. It's a rare thing. It doesn't happen very often. But especially with Magnolia, I had forgotten all about Amy Mann because I wasn't even that big a Till Tuesday fan. And I saw the movie, which I really liked. I'm like, who is that? And I looked her up, and I've been a fan ever since. So I'd like to see more stuff like that.
I can see that. It's like, or Cat Stevens doing most of the music in Harold and Maude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing. I think there's probably like literally a handful of examples of it. And every time it's happened that I can remember, it's always been really interesting and adds a lot to the story. So
yeah, it's one of those things that helps turn the soundtrack into a character.
Or even sometimes, though, as we've discussed, sometimes they just pick like when we were watching not Snatch, the other film by that guy.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smokings?
Yeah, man, the music in that was awesome, and it really was kind of like its own character that's going to walk into your pub and rough you up.
Yep.
But all's well and good, but what's even better than well and good is when you answer this week's poll, and we're going to make this one easy. What is one of your favorite films and why do you like it so much? Let us know in ways that won't break the bank. The Bank of Bumpy Bucks, the cryptocurrency that won't stick to your dentures. It's doctor approved, and it's so tasty, too. And now, we swing on back to the movie Moon and...
The facts.
Budget. $5 million, which for 2009 was damned cheap.
That is... Well, it's not like they blew it all on the cast.
No. We'll come back to the cast.
Both of them.
Well, yeah, we'll come back to that too.
Yeah.
Take, well, almost 10 million. So no free bottles of Maison de Velours here, but you know. So this movie wasn't originally even going to be a movie. Director Duncan Jones, and we'll get back to him, really wanted to work with Sam Rockwell, but they just couldn't figure out the right time. And so Jones asked him what kind of part he'd like to play. Rockwell said he'd like to play a kind of outer space blue-collar character like those in Outland, Silent Running, and Alien. So Jones wrote this movie based on that, and we will be getting back to those. Kevin Spacey, and we will probably not be coming back to him, said that while he liked the script, he'd only record his part as the voice of the robot Gertie once the film was shot and only if he liked it. So... that's a professional... yeah, I kind of think that's kind of dinky, but...
Yeah.
One of the reasons for the low budget going so far was because there was a writer's strike going on, and people who were not writers, who were otherwise not working, were suddenly available, especially in the special effects department. In case you were wondering, the far-flung future date of this sci-fi film is 2035. It's sort of kind of in there if you squint real hard. Yeah.
Oh, the not-too-distant future. Okay.
I don't think we're going to be there just yet, but... in the what the beep department, folks at NASA asked Jones why the helium-3 being harvested wasn't being taken from the near side of the moon, as it's more plentiful there. Jones, without missing a beat, said it was because they didn't want to affect local wildlife.
Okay, good answer.
I thought so. There are a lot of little hidden gems in here. One of them is the name of the rescue mission for Sam. It's named Eliza, which was the name of a computer program written by MIT students in the 60s that mimicked a therapist when people typed questions to it. There's also a shelf in the commissary labeled Soylent, which, well, if you know, you know. It's so tasty, too. This is Duncan Jones' first feature film. And who the hell is this Duncan Jones? Well, he's the son of someone you might have heard of, a certain David Bowie, whose real name is David Jones. But of course, we already had one of those.
Davy Jones?
Yep. So poor David had to change his name. And Duncan, whom David called Zoe to rhyme with Bowie, and that is his middle name, said the heck with that and only goes by Duncan. He's directed a few films after this, including Source Code, Warcraft, Mute, and an upcoming Rogue Trooper. This film, Moon, won a BAFTA for Outstanding Debut by a British writer, director, or producer, as well as a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation Long Form. So while he hasn't got a ton out there, let's keep an eye on this Duncan Jones person. Now, you may say that this film owes a good deal to some other science fiction films, and that are a bit more famous, some TV shows, too.
I do say so.
But the one it owes the most to is... Space 1999, because some of those moonscapes were still in storage and were reused for this movie.
Oh, no, really?
Yes. Look out. Barbara Bain, a moon rock.
Mr. Landau, over here.
And likely there's a ton more, but unless Max has any little morsels of movie magic?
Not really, no.
No, huh? Okay. Kind of hoping you did. But,
no, I don't.
Yeah, right. Anyway, we'll get to the plot. It's the moon. As established, it's in the sky, and Sam, played by Sam Rockwell, I hope he doesn't have Tony Danza syndrome, is alone and at the end of a 3-year mission where he mans a helium mining operation on the moon. In 2 weeks, he's headed back to Earth to reunite with his wife and baby daughter. His only company is the robot assistant Gertie, as voiced by Kevin Spacey. Things are boring, repetitive, but soon coming to a close. Aren't they? Then Sam starts seeing things, hallucinations of his wife and other women in and around the moon base. One of these hallucinations causes him to drive his moon buggy into a harvester, knocking him unconscious. Who could possibly rescue him? Oddly, Sam. Sam wakes up in the infirmary, told that he's suffering the after effects of an accident. He doesn't remember that, but it's okay, all's well, except one of the harvesters is out of whack. Though told he has to stay in the infirmary and rest, Sam can't sit still, so tricks his way out into another moon rover and finds himself barely alive in the wreckage. So he drags himself back to the base, and the two start asking really uncomfortable questions, such as, who's the clone, me or you? Turns out that answer is not so easy or pleasant as one might think. But if they're going to find out the full answer, they'd best hurry, as a rescue team is headed this way to put everything back in order. There will be spoilers.
Spoiler. 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 Spoiler.
Just like the theme song told you, so you have been warned. Oh, and the end, kind of.
The film.
So, Max.
Yeah.
You hadn't seen this film, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this show.
That's right. No, I'm told my clone saw it, though.
You don't have one. Oh, let's get this right out of the way. Because this is a common misuse of the term. Sam is not a clone. He is a duplicate. There is a big difference, and we'll be coming back to that. A clone would start out as 2 cells. You don't suddenly clone somebody and it's the exact same person. What you get is a baby.
Well, he is a cloned duplicate. I mean, that's how he was obviously created, from Sam's cells. That's the definition of cloning.
Well, but the thing is
asexual reproduction.
He wouldn't have been cloned because nobody would have waited long enough for him to grow up and be 20, 30 years old or whatever. So
no, they have some obvious way of accelerating the growth.
I think it's even safer to say that they just duplicated him. How that works is space magic, and we won't be getting into that in this film, which is fine. So, had you heard of the film?
I had, and I had heard it was very trippy and very strange, and I just never got around to watching it.
Huh.
I knew a lot. It also wasn't in very wide distribution. Most of the people I heard of who saw it at like science fiction film festivals or small indie theaters.
Yeah.
Just didn't get out there much.
I think it's safe to say that when it came out, I didn't hear anything about it, and I don't remember how I heard about it because I saw it maybe only a couple of years ago. Maybe I was homesick and needed something to watch. I don't know. So I heard of it and decided this sounds kind of interesting and watched it, and then thought, hey, Max, I'm sure he's seen this, and lo and behold, you had not. So,
nope.
Yeah. But we usually like to start our show talking about the cast.
To be fair, there are a few people in it. It's just most of them aren't there for more than a couple of shots, and some of them you can't even see very well.
Honestly, there's really only 2 people worth talking about. Everybody else is in the background or in a fuzzy monitor or whatever, and they're whatever. So let's start off with the star of the film, Sam Rockwell. He plays 2 versions of himself. Now, some people can pull this off. Some people cannot. What do you think about Sam Rockwell's double performance in this film?
I think he did a really good job. I think he totally pulled it off. I mean, they cheat a little bit when you have the, hi, I look exactly like you. Fortunately, I've been physically injured by you recently, so I have a lot of scars and stuff on my face, so you can tell visually which one of us. But even the way that one of them, Sam 1 is kind of shaken and hurt and confused, and Sam 2 is just pissed off all the time.
Well, and I want to get back to that, not because of the performance, but because of the storytelling, because the second time around, I had different feelings about that, and I think that's very important. The other thing you left out was the way we could tell them apart is Sam 1 had recently had his hair cut by a space Floby.
True.
I was
nice
like, really?
Haircut there.
It was a Floby. It was an actual Floby. It was the vacuum tube with the knives in it where you suck the hair in and it gets to a length and is cut off by whatever.
As we see in Wayne's World, the Suckolux. Turn it off, man! It's sucking my will to live!
You realize the Floby's a real thing?
I do.
Okay.
I remember seeing it in late night TV ads.
Yeah, there's been some opportunities in other films for actors to play 2 versions of themselves. One of which that I thought was exceedingly excellent was in Swan Song, where we saw Mahershala Ali have to basically play a duplicate of himself, and it was much more subtle, but you could still tell them apart. And this one's a little bit more obvious, but I think it needs to be. And as I said, we'll get back to that why. I don't know if it's a thankless job to be basically the only actor in a film, or if
it's got to be difficult. There's no one to play off of.
I also have to say, as part of the performance, there aren't that many scenes where, well, there's literally one scene they're playing ping pong with each other. There's not as many scenes where they're interacting, but all of the scenes where they were, I bought. I thought they did very well.
I did not even try to say, where'd they do that? Is there a shadow there? You just accept it, and that's really hard to do, and that I credit the director with.
Well, never mind the special effects. $5 million does not buy you much these days.
No.
So, yeah, I think Sam Rockwell does a really good job. We understand him. We know where he's coming from, and some of the performances, especially of Sam 1, really give us some backstory that we never discover for our own in the film. And to be fair, Sam 2, when we listen to the voice calls and the background information of Sam Bell, that makes sense too. So, yeah, I think he does a great job. Next, we have Kevin Spacey as the voice of the robot.
Yes, Spacey 9000.
My feeling was that his voice was a great mix of both creepy and dispassionate.
It was, but there's also, especially toward the end, this tinge of warmth in it.
Yeah.
You know, because as you find out, his whole purpose is to help Sam.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for, it's there for, and that is what it does. And I thought he did a very good job with that. His voice is really good at being that sort of soft, disturbing, creepy sound.
Yeah. Like, when's the robot going to, like, leap out and Kaiser Sose at this guy?
Exactly.
The thing that I thought was interesting, too, is that having seen situations before, and of course this is a callback, let's not say that it isn't, seeing situations in science fiction films where, shall we say, the lone astronaut on a spaceship or other far-off contrivance has only a robot to deal with, and oh no, the robot's evil. Yeah. We think we know where this is going, and it doesn't actually go there. Again, spoilers, people, spoilers. And I actually appreciated the character of Gertie more at the end of the film because of the parameters that aren't spoken, but you realize have to be there for the character. So could somebody else have done this just as well? I think so. I don't think this is a standout performance for Kevin Spacey, but I think he does a good job.
I think he could have gotten an actual voice actor and they would have done just fine, but I think he did a creditable job. I think he was fine.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
No. Come on, we got to talk a little bit about Tess.
She's barely there. She's fine, but she's like literally, I want to say, 2 minutes of screen time in a CRT, and that's it.
Yeah, but it's also cool that his corporate overlords are Wong and Laszlo Cravenworth from What We Do in the Shadows.
Well, but the thing is that if they didn't tell us that, we couldn't tell. You literally can't see their faces.
No, but you can hear Matt Berry's voice. Matt Berry is a very distinctive voice. Yes, don't worry, old chap. We'll be having you back on Earth any time now. Sort of slightly drunk Cary Grant meets Homer Simpson. I don't know.
There is that's a challenge. I want to find the voice actor that can do that.
Yeah, well,
Matt if Cary Grant and Homer Simpson had a child and he was drunk? Can you do that? Because I would love to hear that. Yeah, they're fine, but again, they have, I think, one scene and then they're gone.
Yeah, there's two, but yeah, they don't. They have, like, I don't know, they're on screen for a minute, maybe. Yeah, it's true. And then, there's Eve. She's on screen for like a few seconds.
Yeah.
It's really just Rockwell and Spacey.
Yeah. And technically, Duncan Jones makes an appearance as the Shadow at the end of the film.
Oh, right.
Who cares? That's, whatever. So, for a film like this, where you've got basically two, if you want to really stretch it, two major characters, three, I suppose, really, then you've got to have somebody who's strong enough to take that part and do something pretty amazing with it. And I think Sam Rockwell does.
Yeah, I think so. And it's not a long movie. The thing's 97 minutes, but it doesn't drag. I think it moves along very well. And I think part of that is him and part of it is the directing.
Well, and I also think that the feelings of loneliness are very well expressed here. Now, I mentioned a couple of other films in here. Have you ever seen Silent Running?
Yeah, a couple times.
I was horribly depressed by that film as a kid.
That was oh God, I saw that at a science fiction festival when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I just was sitting there going, I want to go home now. I don't want to watch anymore.
For those who don't know, basically it's the future, and the Earth is habitable by people, but pretty much all the plants are gone. There are 3 ships that have these domes with what's left of Earth's plants and animals in it, orbiting, trying to keep things going. And the word comes down like, yeah, we're killing this project. And Bruce Dern plays a part of a guy who's like, heck with that, we're not killing the project. And basically ends up killing his co-workers and taking off with what he can. And it is very well done and very sad, but I definitely kind of got a little bit of a Bruce Dern vibe off Sam Rockwell. Not that he's doing Bruce Dern, but that kind of I've been alone a little too long kind of crazy. I thought that he expressed that really well, just like Dern did.
Yeah, I mean, the idea he's been alone, at least Sam 1 has been alone for 3 years.
Yeah.
That is a long time, and they apparently an accident, wink, has cut off all live long-range communication. So he can only talk to people by recordings.
Right.
So, yeah, you would need a certain kind of personality to not go completely insane within the first few months.
Yeah. And we've got the 2001 thing, and they apparently even made sure that we saw the lens with the little light in it, although Hal is red and Gray is blue, but same idea. Yeah. I actually liked the little emoji expressions.
Oh, the little smiley face he would use?
Well, because it was meant to be comforting, but it's also literally like, this is all you're going to get. Smiley face? Yeah. Good.
Brownie face.
Yeah. So I thought that was actually well played. And then, of course, Space 1989, the moon looks like Space 1999 for obvious reasons.
It does.
Which is fine.
Yes. A lot of gravity on that moon, too, I noticed.
Yeah. I mean,
I know there's some, but,
it's
a sixth of Earth. A third? I thought it was a sixth.
Oh, it's a sixth. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Because if we had a third, then we'd have moonfall.
I have to say, when we were watching the opening of the movie and we're seeing the ad from Lunar Industries, as I have in my notes, a subsidiary of Conhugeco.
Yeah.
The first thing I think is, wow, the moon really will help us.
And just because it's been a long time, Geostorm. Yeah, sorry.
Geostorm.
Because I can make my voice do that. There's no gravity issues. They don't address it. They don't make note of it. When he's out and about, there's a suggestion of lighter gravity, but it's not dealt with much. And let's face it, one of the problems, of course, is that's really expensive and often looks bad.
It usually looks terrible.
Did it bother you?
No, it actually did not.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that impressed me about the movie. I noticed it. I thought, oh, they're not really addressing the gravity issue. Okay, but they're not trying to. They're just going, well, that's the way it is. And that isn't, the science is not the heart of the story. It's the fiction.
Right. I mean, because in 10
the
years...
cloning is a thing, but yeah.
In 10 years, we're not going to have duplicates. Not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. And I also, I have no idea if solar energy actually is captured by the moon and turned into helium-3.
Apparently that is true.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't know what we would do with it.
That's the thing is...
Because helium tends not to react with anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
less inert than other gases.
Yeah, it has a real lack of inertness. Or perhaps too much inertness.
You're a nerd. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine if we find somebody to use it. Like you said, that's not the point of the film. Mm-hmm. There is one sound effect in here that I really wish they had not used. Whenever the alarm goes off, it's the exact same sound effect as the iOS alarm clock klaxon, which I use to wake up every morning. Man,
did I...
Because it's one of those sounds. It's meant, I guarantee, there were some sort of sound engineers and psychiatrists, and they worked together to find a noise that's really, really irritating, so you want to wake up and turn it off.
Can't ignore it.
But, yeah, and this one is just like, I can't control it. But yeah, that was just a little thing. So... I thought that it was very interesting that we have a big difference between the two clones, and I said we would get back to that. And I think when I first saw the film, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I did this time. There needs to be. For one thing, there is something physical going on with the duplicates that they don't tell us. It's just implied. Did you get any hint of that?
How do you mean?
Well, so at first we just sort of see that they disagree. They agree to disagree and have a fist fight. And of course he saw a pretty girl on the moon. So of course he rammed his moon rover right up a tree. And so he gets hurt, but it just doesn't stay like that. It gets worse. He continues to get physically worse.
Oh, I see what you mean. And we see from the videos of the other Sams, they all get worse. And they never address it. I was assuming maybe these clones have an expiration date. Maybe it's like a replicant. They've got the replicants had 4-year lifespans. Maybe these guys have 3-year lifespans.
That's exactly where I went. And to me, this film is a much better sequel to Blade Runner than Blade Runner 2049 is, because we're actually seeing the real-life, quote-unquote, use of replicants. Either that or it's meant to represent radiation damage, that over a period of time they can only screen out so much.
That's entirely possible.
But either way, it's obvious. It's possible that 3 years is kind of the expiration date for your sanity.
Maybe except that there's too many physical manifestations. I mean, they're coughing up, blood. They're losing their teeth, their hair, which admittedly made me think radiation sickness. But it could just be that's how long the clones live. I mean, we know in 2009 anyway. They had, remember Dolly the sheep?
Yep.
They had cloned a sheep, and it died at age 6, which was about half its lifespan. I should point out that Dolly's 13 sisters did not.
Oh.
They lived out a normal lifespan.
Huh.
But it was believed at first that you couldn't create a clone, especially of a complex organism, that would live its normal span. That appears to have been wrong.
Well, and here, I mean, again, we're not really talking clones. We're talking duplicates, so space magic or whatever. Because obviously a certain, I don't know what to call it, a certain group of memories exist in the clone of Sam to each duplicate of Sam that have been arranged and doctored to some respect. So, but I think that it suggests too, and this is one of the subtleties of the film that I actually really appreciated second time around, is I think it suggests that they have realized after many, many tests that there is a certain period of time after which these duplicates are no longer effective. Because before Sam 2 shows up, if we see a little video display, there's 4 harvesters. One of them is already out. It's like, hey, there's a problem with that. And he seems less concerned. My feeling is that as you get closer to this 3-year mark, you just stop caring and you can't deal with the loneliness anymore. And so they're like, okay, so the duplicates will last 3 years, at which point we send them home, i.e., he goes into the flames, crackle, 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 which is a bit of shock if he's like quite dead.
No, they sent him upstate to a nice farm where he can run and play with other clones.
Well, sadly, that's pretty much the line they feed him. They put him into the, what do they call those things? The ovens.
Oh, a rescue pod or whatever.
Well, they call it a rescue pod, but it's really an incinerator. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
and
it's a liquefier or something.
And it is a bit of a shock if he's not quite dead, but quick. And so they've already woken another clone, and they tell that clone, hey, just so you know, your lander didn't land well, and so you had a little accident.
That's why you're in the infirmary.
So otherwise you're fine. Here's your 3-year stint. And what we get is Sam 2. Now, you have to listen carefully, but at one point in one of the background information checks that Sam is doing about himself, he finds out that he and his wife separated at one point because of his temper issues. Well, Sam 2 is very short of temper. So
you have to wonder if he was abusive or...
Well, he's kind of a jerk.
He is kind of a jerk. And
maybe
although then you find out, I mean, do you want to talk about what we find out at the end about Sam?
Well, I don't see why not. I mean, the Sam part is the main part of the story, so... Yeah.
It turns out that the company, Conhugeco, is blocking the satellite, so he can't actually make any live calls. He figures out there are jamming devices, they get outside the range of them, and he manages to phone home. When his 3-plus-year-old daughter answers the phone, and she's 15.
Yeah.
And it turns out, not only is she 15, his wife is dead. And she's saying, Dad, someone's asking about Mom, and he hears his voice off camera and hangs up. So Sam Prime, apparently, may never have left Earth. It may just be, and if you think about it, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You train some guy, you get him ready, and then you say, guess what? You don't actually have to go to the moon. We're going to just take some tissue samples. We're going to build some mindless clones that you'll never know about, and have them do the work, and you get paid.
Yeah.
I don't know about the you get paid, but I'm assuming.
Well, and I will say this, though. They're awfully, what's the word I really want here? They're really generous with both the food and the water on the moon, because he at least twice takes a shower. And
yes. Yeah, and it's on the one hand you think, oh well, he's only there for 3 years. No, he's not. Somebody's been there for at least 12 years.
Yeah, something's wrong on Saturn III.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, if there is a fair amount of fossilized water on the moon, at least that's speculated, and if they can extract magic energy from helium, then maybe they've learned how to suck up oxygen and water from, I don't know,
clean energy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
sheer. Yep.
You know, gentlemen do prefer Hanes.
They do.
Yeah, I think, again, the whole point of this film isn't, can you make serious sense out of the technology and the stuff going on in the background, because that's not it. And, you know, we have seen stuff like this in 2001 in Silent Running in Space 1999. And even Aliens was one of the things mentioned, because not Aliens, Alien. The original Alien was very much a working guy film, working gal film.
These guys, they were truckers. They were space truckers.
Yeah, which, not like the film Space Truckers, because there is one.
No. Nothing at all like that.
And nothing at all like the character in Battle Beyond the Stars. But
No.
You know, that's, astronaut or no, there's going to be a point where if we're doing serious long-term work in space, it's going to require people who can do manual labor and work big machines, et cetera, et cetera. It's not everyone gets to be an astronaut, so it makes sense. It's also, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy in fiction, whether it be in print or in movies, I really like the exploration of identity. What does it mean to be human? How do you think this film does with that?
I think it scratches the surface. I don't think it goes very deep, but it actually asks a lot of questions. It just doesn't answer any of them. Well, the whole thing, when they're asking, you know, like, why are they so concerned about which one is the clone and which one isn't? Do they have a soul? They never bring that up. Did they share one?
I think one of the reasons they don't bring it up is we don't get to see Sam 1 and 2, which are technically, I guess, really Sam 3 and 4.
I thought they were 5 and 6, but yeah.
Well, because if she's aged 12 years, then he's done this 4 times. So I guess 4 and 5 is
some of them may have died. We don't know. Because we see a bunch of them in those videos.
Yeah. What was that? Coma. That's what it reminded me of. Have you ever seen the movie Coma, where those people are hanging by wires and there's tons and tons of them? Yeah.
I've seen that shot. I never saw the movie.
Me either. We don't know how many clones there's been, but it's obvious that this has been a cycle. And there's also a good likelihood that those jammers are in a circle around this base, that there very well may be more. If this is really supplying all of the energy for the world, or I think this is 75% of it. Yeah, there can. And are they using... Is every base a Sam base, or do we have, you know, a Norman base? Do we do any of these duplicates coordinate? I don't know.
You're checking with Norman base, and all you hear is.
I was actually thinking of Star Trek, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think partially we don't get to the soul question because he don't see him with other people. That being said, at the very end of the film, Sam 2 manages to hide inside the hopper, I guess, that takes the helium-3 to Earth, survives somehow, and basically tells what's going on because this is kept a big secret, and this causes everyone to go, the heck with that. And it seems to imply that the answer is, yes, these are people and what you're doing to them is cruel, because technically it's slavery.
Yeah, but of course you also hear that voiceover at the end that sounds suspiciously like either Rush Limbaugh or Alex Jones doing, this guy's either lying or he's a psycho, but he should be locked up. It's like, all right, so it's a little ambiguous if anything is going to happen. Are they just going to spin it? We don't know. And that I think, is actually a very challenging aspect of the movie.
Well, and I think that it's left with us. I think that the film's not
we're supposed to fill it in ourselves.
My feeling is that the idea is that they are people, and we should think of them as people, and to think otherwise is to be like that guy at the end. You can call that whatever you want.
Yeah. The other thing for me about the whole identity thing is this was where it might have gotten a little too ambitious, because my thing, the first almost half of the movie, is the question I kept asking is this really happening?
Right.
Or has Sam lost his mind from the loneliness and this is all an extended hallucination? And you're not sure, because at the beginning he is having hallucinations. He sees his wife, and he sees some random dark-haired woman.
Well, I'm guessing she's meant to be one of the people he's got a picture up on his wall.
Oh, okay.
That's just my guess.
Just appears, and that's when he has the accident. And he's oddly blasé about, why is there someone else who looks exactly like me doing calisthenics in the other room?
I think it wasn't so much blasé as he was wondering, is this just an extension of what's been happening to me that I don't want to face because there's nothing I can do about it for 2 weeks? That was my feeling. That being said, I think Sam 2 in this film, Sam 2's reaction to Sam 1 is really remarkably blasé. Like, he doesn't seem to question it. He seems to sort of go, oh, huh. So there's clones here. Huh. Well, at least I'm and he makes the weird assumption, at least I'm the real one. Why he would assume that, I don't know, but
I don't know.
Maybe it's, I did have a talking point I wanted to bring up because of this duplication process. Mm-hmm. Could you live with your own duplicate?
Ooh, boy. I don't know. I mean, I think I would just be overwhelmed by his handsomeness.
Wait, you're not saying that you would space do you, are you?
No. I would just be staring at myself adoringly. But no.
That would get awkward after a half a second.
I don't know. You always want to say, well, you get along best with yourself. But you brought up, I was thinking of Seinfeld, where there's an episode where Jerry gets engaged to a woman who is exactly like him. And as he says, I can't marry me. I hate me.
Well, Jerry, you're not alone.
I doubt it. I think the whole thing about when you get along with people is you complement each other, not duplicate each other.
Well,
and if you are literally a duplicate, I think you would have massive personality clashes pretty much from the get-go.
Which they do. But then they also kind of come to a détente. And in the end, what ends up happening is Sam 1 says, look, this rescue team's coming. If they find 2 of us, then we're both going to get killed, and they'll just open up a new one. Special duplicate freshness. And so I'm falling apart. I'll just go back into the dune buggy, the space buggy, and you can go and be the new clone and everything will be fine. And Sam 2 is saying, no, we'll send you back to Earth because you've suffered enough. You've been through enough.
You've done your 3 years. Yeah. You can go back. I'll stay here. And Sam 1 goes, no, I'm dying. Yeah. That's dumb.
I'm literally falling apart.
I'll be the corpse you put out in the lander, and you go in the pod and get back to Earth. So they both are willing. I mean, admittedly, for Sam 1, it's a little easier because it's like, I'm going to die. I can tell.
Yeah.
But
this is how Brundlefly eats.
Yep. If he was a genuinely selfish person, he still would have tried. But there's a core of decency that comes across. Yeah, Sam or Sam Prime is clearly a flawed individual, but is basically a decent person.
Well, and that's one of the things
that comes across very nicely.
Well, I think it comes across even better when we get that snippet of video call, even though we don't see Sam Prime, or as the subtitles wrote, original Sam. So if you don't want something given away, don't use the subtitles.
Yeah.
He obviously somehow got over himself and became not only a good husband and a good father because he was welcomed back and is still raising his daughter. And it's a nice subtle thing where we know that in some ways Sam eventually becomes okay, even though he starts off as a jerk and then ends up a little crazy. The prime Sam ends up okay. So, yeah.
We can hope so.
Gertie the robot is really, really interesting because Gertie the robot is not the usual, oh, I'm sorry I had to shove you out the airlock. It's
or you are not permitted to have that information.
Or we might as well take it all the way. Exterminate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because there's no stairs in space. Everyone knows that.
There's no stairs, yep.
No.
Yeah, it's actually very touching at some point. Sam 1 is trying to get into the video log. That's where he discovers how many clones have come before, but his password isn't working. And out of nowhere, he never asked, Gertie enters the right password for him.
Yeah.
And as he says, why did you do that? He says, I'm here to help you. Helping you is what I do.
Well, and that's the thing that takes a long time to understand what it means, because it doesn't mean help you do the job and nothing but the job and not know things. The whole base is very subtly designed to just make Sam not question what's going on. Things are there to distract him. He's got this little village that he's building, and he doesn't, when he thinks about it, because Sam 2 shows up and says, how long you been at this? You got a lot of buildings for 3 years. He's like, oh, I don't remember. Well, that's
because obviously he's not the one who started it.
No, but also there are things there specifically to just guide him from asking certain questions.
Including reruns of Bewitched and Mary Tyler Moore.
Well, one of those I accept as a good thing, although you'd think at this point the Mary Tyler Moore show is 75 years old. There's got to be something else. As much as I love the Mary Tyler Moore show, that's just cruel. But it's very interesting that part of Sam getting through the 3 years is emotional as well as it is physical, and that once Sam 1 starts asking questions that Gertie can't really dodge by pointing out something else, Gertie just answers him. He's like, this is obviously going to help you. You really shouldn't do that. You really shouldn't do that. Okay, I'll let you do that. And there's even one scene they just leave out where he manages to get all the way back out to in Dune Buggy 2 to see Dune Buggy 1 and Rooma Zoom Zoom. And and we don't see that scene of that, and we don't see there's another chunk that they just sort of say, we don't need to watch this. And I appreciated that. So Gertie is not the robot we were expecting. And in the end, Gertie is actually kind of a very sympathetic character, because we realize you have a very short lifespan. You only have one job, and then you're going to die. I know it. I've seen it over and over again. The best I can do is make you as comfortable and as happy as I can in those 3 years. And that means not telling you what's about to happen. Don't get in the chute.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I mean, I got to say, even the bit where after Sam 1 realizes he's a clone, he sees the videos, that sequence where Gertie tries to pat him on the shoulder with one of the robot arms is both funny and tragic.
Yeah.
Just like, They're there.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Thank you, Baymax. Did you get the feeling that claw was like sneaking up on him, about to like grab his...
That's what I thought. I thought it was going to grab him or attack him, and no, it's trying to comfort.
No.
Oh, and I just want to put it out there. I think we both know, but that's not a rescue team, is it? Who's the Eliza mission?
No.
It's pretty clear when they show up, it's going to be, well, blam, die, clone. Now we just turn on another one. I assume they're there. They're going to go out, fix the broken harvesters.
Yep.
Set everything back up, and then leave.
Yep. They are there to they're resetting the clock. That's what they're there for.
Yeah. But then again, the impressive thing about this movie is they don't tell us that. We can derive that from the movie itself and from the context clues.
Yeah.
But they never say, they don't get off and they're wearing, curly mustaches and, kilo clone rifles. Or,
Happy birthday, you thing from another world, you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But, what else has come to an end? That is our show, I think, unless you have any final notes you want to throw in there.
No, I don't think so. I do have, Rush Limbaugh of the future.
Boo. Yeah. Boo robot I just made up.
And we do have one shot of Rockwell butt.
Yes, we do. And it's fine.
That was all.
Yeah,
Yep.
bet there's a lot of that in space. But,
The Finish.
so Max,
Yes.
you'd heard vaguely of it, never seen it.
Little bits and pieces, didn't know anything really about it except it took place on the moon. And a guy was alone.
The directorial debut of David Jones' son, David Bowie's son, Duncan Jones.
I did not know that at all.
That is true. Yeah, it had to change his name because of Davy Jones. Isn't that sad?
That is very sad.
Yeah.
Damn you monkeys.
Because flying monkeys is funny.
It's funny.
What did you think of Moon?
I think it's really well done. I think it's very sad, but I think it's a really good movie. It moves along well. The performances, the few that there are excellent. I mean, Sam Rockwell never ceases to impress me. There are so many movies where I go, oh, right, that was him. I'm going, oh, wow, that's right. He was the bad guy in Charlie's Angels. He was Guy, the comic relief guy in Galaxy Quest. He's in all of these things. And I keep forgetting. The thing about Sam Rockwell, again, I think he's very talented. He is just very slightly punchable.
Oh, what do you mean?
There's something about him that's kind of smarmy.
Oh.
I don't know. And he tends to do that in every part. There's always just something about him that I want to clean the furniture after he leaves.
Well, his best known part, I think, and my favorite role of his is Mr. Wolf in The Bad Guys.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, he's done some good voice acting too.
So
I think it's terrific. I think Kevin Spacey, is perfectly serviceable. He was chosen clearly for the pitch of his voice. You could have found somebody else, but I think he did a decent job. Damn him.
Yeah.
And
see our
all
previous
the bit
episodes
players,
where we talk about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. The bit players were all they're all playing. They were all fine. It's not like anyone was, oh God, that one's terrible.
So you would recommend this film?
I would recommend this movie. I wouldn't recommend it if you're in a terribly bad mood, but I would recommend this movie. What about you? You've seen it. You saw it before. Did you like it when you saw it?
Yeah, I think I thought it was going to be trippier than it was, because I think the preview that I saw for it made it look out to be something much more psychedelic or much more head gamey than it was, which it wasn't.
I could see that, yeah.
To be fair, I don't think it made as much of an impression, because this time I really appreciated the subtlety of the storytelling. I really appreciated that there were things left for us to put together. And again, because I'm a big fan of stories and movies and such that really delve into the idea of what does it actually mean to be human? Where do we draw that line? Because that line is coming. It's closer than we'd like to think. And at some point we're going to have to decide, and I don't think it's going to go well. Yeah. So how do we approach that? And what defines being human? Actually get down and have to write down on a piece of paper what things have to be there for this to be considered a life form, a human, whatever. And these duplicates
what makes you human versus Roman, sure.
Because everything comes back to Robot Monster.
Everything does.
We haven't talked about that or Zangief's ass in a little bit, so. And again, Geostorm. Sorry, I can't. So, yeah, I really, especially as a directorial debut made for $5 million in 2009, that is...
As a first effort, this is amazing.
I mean, the only thing we've seen that was more economical was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and I still can't believe that was 1.4. So, yeah, a tour de force by Sam Rockwell. Yeah. He's not perfect, and I'm really glad that he's not, but we do feel for him. We don't want to be locked up on the moon for 3 years alone, and we certainly don't want to get into the little instant pizza oven at the end that's going to transport us back to Earth. So, yeah, I'm going to say 2 votes for Moon. If you haven't seen it and you're a science fiction fan, highly recommended.
Yep.
But what's also recommended is our poll question, and this week's is easy. We just want to know, what is one of your favorite films? Doesn't matter what the genre is or anything. We just want to know, what is one of your favorite films and why do you like it so much? And you can answer us by calling our hotline. That number is 617-398-7266. That number again, 617-398-7266. Or if you want to email us directly, what better that way than to email us at maxmikemovies.com. You might also like to head over to the website to see what other episodes are there or see what other comments people are leaving, perhaps even converse with our other listeners. That site is, of course, www.maxmikemovies.com. If you like social media, and who doesn't, you can find us currently on Facebook, Mastodon, and Bluesky, all under Max Mike Movies. And heck, do you like podcast apps? Because who doesn't like those too? Well, if you like a podcast app, we're on there as Line.
Kristen Honey, we're filming. Yes.
That would be Max Mike.
Max Mike Movies.
Well, we've gone through quite a few films. I can see the end. It's off there. We're not there yet, but it's coming, Max. What film that I have not seen that you simply cannot believe I have not seen are we going to watch next week?
Well, we're going to watch a touching coming-of-age teen story with a remarkable cast, some of whom we've already seen. The feel-good movie of the year, Carrie.
Oh,
And just remember, they're all going to laugh at you! They're all going to laugh at you!
The king of horror films.
Yes, he's going to scare the hell out of you.
Now, just to be fair, didn't they remake this?
Oh, several times.
So we're looking at the 1970 whatever version.
The original Brian De Palma.
With Sissy Spacek.
Sissy Spacek and a very, very young John Travolta.
Oh.
And some other recognizable faces.
Couldn't we just watch Devil's Reign instead?
Ooh, burn the witch, burn the witch.
We will cleanse the earth with fire. Yeah. How about Boy in the Plastic Bubble?
No, this is a feel-good movie. That's a horror film.
Carrie, huh? Well.
Carrie.
Not Cash and Carrie, but Carrie next week on Max Mike Movies.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.